Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Sober School, where you can always find experience, strength, and hope. My name is Drew. I'm an alcoholic. I want to welcome you to this platform here today, regardless of what your addiction may be. You are welcome here. We support your pathway to recovery, your pathway, and whichever pathway it is that you choose, well, we're here to help, and we definitely want to make sure that it works for you. If you're watching this through the Recovery Classroom Facebook group page, we want to encourage you to share your own experience, strength, and hope, and your own words of wisdom. You never know who needs to hear what it is you might have to say, and it could just change someone's life, including your own. I want to give a special shout out and thank you to those of you guys local to the area last night that made it down to the meeting. It was an awesome meeting, had so much fun, and I've been in a lot of meetings and I've never seen a meeting start out the way it started out. And I just think it was a lot more fluid, a lot more dynamic, and a couple takeaways for me was everybody walked in the room last night, everybody truly seemed happy, joyous, and free. And everybody participated. Even though, as we changed through the course of the different topics last night, everybody participated to one degree or another. And that was just such a blessing. And I think one of the biggest takeaways there, as far as I know, everybody there last night was there because they wanted to be there. They truly wanted to be there. They didn't have to be there. And so it was just such a blessing. And I took, Eric gave me all the topic cards that we wrote on. And so I got those. I was going through those. I was like, man, these are some great topics. And so there's a couple of them we didn't get to last night, but I'm going to try to touch on those over the course of the next couple of days. So one topic I do want to discuss today is probably going to get me in a lot of trouble, and that's okay. I'm not one to shy away from topics. See, we spent years running away from our problems, running away from our issues. And as we grow in our sobriety and grow in our recovery, we're taught to run to them. And meet them head on. So that's what I want to do today. I want to talk about relationships in recovery. Now, there is an unwritten rule in most programs that you don't get in or get out of a relationship within the first year of your recovery pathway. And it makes sense. Logically, it makes sense. The idea behind it is you don't want any major life changes taking place while you're still focusing on healing yourself. Right? You don't want to quit your job. You don't want to, make any type of important, huge, deeply impactful decisions in your first year of sobriety, because it could set you up for throw some stumbling blocks on your road as you progress through your recovery. And that's the last thing we want. We don't want people to go back out to their old way of life. So that's kind of where the unwritten rule comes from. Now, there are some exceptions, but there's two ways to look at this unwritten rule. There's obviously you don't want to get into a relationship within your first year, and you don't want to get out of one within your first year. Again, can be some exceptions. I cannot speak to getting into a relationship within your first year. I can't do that. I've been married for 20 years. I was an alcoholic. Whenever I got married, my wife spent many, many, many moons watching me slowly destroy myself. I was an alcoholic whenever, I going into 2021, so I was in a relationship, obviously, whenever I got sober. I'm still in a relationship now, so, I can't speak to getting into a relationship, but I can speak to getting out of a relationship. And so I want to start with that piece first. If you're in a relationship right now, and the person that you are with, no matter how much you think you love them, the person you are with is holding you back. They are pushing, or they're leaving their drugs laying out. Hell, they're bringing home the cases of Bud Light and bottles of Wild Turkey from work every night. That's not a conducive environment, and that's definitely something that would warrant a sit down and having a conversation with them about. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is your sobriety. You can't change what other people do, say, or think. You just can't do it, right? Well, we're talking about your sobriety, though. And if it's something that's detrimental to your sobriety, well, again, that could warrant some conversations that you need to have. Because if not, guess what happens? You go right back into the same 6 and 7. For many years, my wife was sober. She saw me drunk night after night. I remember she'd ask me, why can't you just get sober? Why can't you just stop? Well, then as I did get sober, she became an alcoholic as well. And so she started suffering. So the roles were reversed. She got to see me through the eyes of a sober person, she got to see me being drunk. And then when I got sober, I got to see her through the eyes of a sober person being drunk. And so it was really tough period in our marriage for sure. Very, very contentious. And I want to caution you, if you're in a relationship that is toxic, that this person is not helping you achieve your goal of sobriety, this person is bringing drugs, bringing alcohol around you, is drinking and using in front of you, explain to me how that is the manifestation of true love. Because I don't see it. It's hard for me to imagine that, if my wife is drinking and I'm trying to get sober, it's hard for me to imagine her bringing home a bottle of Wild Turkey and telling me how much she loves me. Sounds great, but it's all bullshit, I know. So if you're in a toxic relationship, you need to have that conversation. Have it with preferably your spouse or significant other, but you need to have that conversation. Look, I need help here, and if you're not willing to help me, then I'm going to have to make some tough choices. I know, because my wife and I had those conversations at one point. Fortunately, thank God for the rooms of AA, I got sober and she got sober too. She got sober too, thanking our higher power and of course the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous for the other half of that dilemma, as far as don't get into a relationship within your first year. I can't tell you the number of times that I'll see folks in the rooms. They're coming in and, they're anxious, they're hungry, they're eager to learn, they want to learn, and, they'll friend me on Facebook or whatever. And then a couple months later, I'll see a picture of them, I'm in a relationship with this person. And they're all standing there together and, God is good and I'm loving the sober life. And maybe 2 months later, I stopped seeing these people at the meetings. Maybe a month after that, I start seeing some random photos popping up on their Facebook page. And 4 or 5 months after that, I see a picture of both people and they're strung out or drunk, one of the two. What happens is, if we're going to get into a relationship, and to me, this is, again, I can't speak to this, I can just think about it logically. If I'm going to get into a relationship to find a love of my life, shouldn't I figure out how to love myself first? If I've only been in sobriety, maybe, recovery, maybe 90 days, chances are I still haven't truly learned how to love myself. So why would I want to be possibly going out and finding true love in another person when I haven't learned how to love myself? It doesn't make sense to me. The whole point of recovery is not to get and stay sober. The whole point of recovery is to learn how to love yourself. And I just couldn't imagine. It took me at least 6 months to even realize that I didn't love myself. 6 months into my recovery before I realized I didn't love myself. And it took me, and I'm still working on learning to love myself now. So for those of you coming into the program, I see it all the time. Oh, I met Jimmy and he's the love of my life and we're already engaged. You just met him fucking last week. You're like 2 months sober and you don't even know how to love yourself, much less Jimmy. Right? Or Susie, man, I've been looking for this Susie girl and she's just the love of my life and that's great and we're going to get married and we're going to have, I get the hopes, the ambitions, the aspirations. I get it. I do. But at the end of the day, you've got to learn to heal you first before you can help anybody else. It's kind of like the airplane syndrome. They always say when the masks come down on an airplane, you got to put yours on first before you can help somebody else. That's what I want to encourage you today. Relationships are tough. You don't want to get in one, and you don't want to get out of one within the first year. Again, there are some exceptions that can be made. I would encourage you, highly recommend you talk to your sponsor about when any, if any, exceptions could be made. So, with that being said, I hope this helps somebody today. Again, it's a tough topic, but that's what we do. We meet them head on. Thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. You guys keep me sober, and I couldn't be any more appreciative. If there's a topic you'd like to have discussed, feel free to drop it down below in the Recovery Classroom Facebook group page. We'll take a look at it, see what we can do. So again, Thank you guys for letting me come in. I hope you guys have a kick-ass Saturday. Remember, guys, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.